What's going on, Dolphins fans? We are here on a Sunday. This will be one of the Sundays that there won't be football for the rest of the season until February. We got Joe Robbie back from the Bahamas. He will be able to see all of us. And then we got Steve from Blues Clues up in the top left corner here. Bobby Shouse. How we doing, everybody?
I'm doing good, man. Ready to a little training camp, right in the heat of things, get a little inside scoop from the boy Tanner Connor. So I'm excited, man. I'm ready to pick his brain and see what that's about.
He's having one of the best camps this year. I mean, you don't go a day without seeing a Tanner Connor tweet from Travis Wingfield or any of the guys over there. So we're really excited to get into this. So Bobby, as we always say, let's get it going.
I'm putting the helmet on as always.
The opportunity is right now.
Terrific defensive play. Intercepted. Off the block. Two on the move. Going deep. Speedways. He's got Hill. He's got Hill. The Dolphins have recaptured the lead.
Shout out FinHub for the excellent intro, as always. We have Tanner Connor here, and I'm going to say it, the official players podcast of Dolphins Twitter. How we doing, Tanner? How we doing?
Doing great, guys. How you guys doing?
Hey, man. Fantastic. Thanks for having, or thanks for coming on, I should say. We're excited to have you, and you're out here making waves, man. We're going to get into it a little bit, but just want to say, like, we're happy what we're seeing, and like I said, you can't go a day without seeing your name come across the timeline and doing something special in camp.
Just doing my part. It's I wasn't able to do camp last year, and so just being healthy and being in camp this year has been a blessing. So just enjoying every day.
Awesome. We like to do a certain thing here on the podcast that that a lot of other podcasts don't do, is we'd like to get into that human side first before we get into talking shop about football. So to kick it off, I mean, I'd like to hear about players' challenges coming into the league, what they go through, where they've been at. What are some of the trials and adversity you had to work through as an undrafted free agent, working your way onto the active 53 and getting to put the pads on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys have done it, but my story is a little bit more unique. I was a dual sport athlete in college, and we weren't very good. I mean, I won one game my senior year, and I won 2 games my junior year. So 3 in 2 years is pretty tough. I was a receiver. We ran like a spread offense, and I did well for the Big Sky, but being a small school FCS guy, I had to go to University of Washington just to get some looks from some scouts. And luckily I did really well, ran well, tested well, and got an opportunity. And then just kind of kept that chip on my shoulder, like most UDFAs do, and continued to grind it out, made plays after play in training camp before my injury. And they saw enough to where they believed in me and they kept me. So I've been with the Dolphins ever since, and now I'm looking to be back on the 53 this year, hopefully. But we'll see what happens.
And I just want to let you know, the boys have been on the train. We've been on the train.
Thank you, guys.
Since we picked you up. I'll have Eric pull some tweets up later because you need to see these. The boys have been with you.
Yeah, I mean, that means a lot because it's been an up and down the last 2 years, but blessed every single day, and hopefully we can get this year right.
Yeah, I think Joe was that's the first thing he said when we started talking to you about coming on the show. He was like, "Man, look at these tweets I got. He ain't gonna believe this. 2022."
I know it seemed like yesterday, but man, it's been so long ago now since the rookie year, and I'm starting to feel like I'm being more developed in the league now, and being one of the guys I'm finally getting used to it. When you first get to the league, it's a lot of stars and big audiences, but now I'm finally starting to feel like my job.
So speaking of feeling like it's your job, getting comfortable, we've had several guys on this show, Jonu, Jody, Tyreek. We ask them all, who's the standout guy so far? Who's doing things that we don't see, who's really showing out? And they all say Tanner Connor. They're all like, can't wait to say Tanner Connor. You got to see this guy, fast as hell. This dude's out here blazing. So what does it mean to hear that from your peers? And do you also feel it? Do you feel like you're locked in? Do you feel like you're having a great camp?
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome to hear from those guys. I mean, I saw the tweets from the podcast, and I was like, that's really cool. I really didn't know they felt that way about me. And so to see those guys shout me out, I mean, that meant a lot. I knew I really had a good OTA session. I really felt like I was starting to shine there. John was down with an injury, and so I had some more opportunities to kind of show what I could do, and did really well with it. I feel like I've been a little quiet during camp. I've been more in the trenches, doing a lot of run game stuff, not as well in the pass game because everybody's competing now. But I feel like I've been consistent, but I haven't been where I wanted to be yet. Still want to make some bigger plays, make more of a splash, similar to like how I did my rookie year. But OTAs went really well for me, and just being healthy right now has been the biggest part.
If you don't mind me asking, what's your favorite part about camp?
My favorite part about camp is that you get to see everything. Like I love camp because when we go over like film and stuff, we go over routes on air, we go over one-on-ones, every single team period. So you get to see like the competition between the guys, and we get to go against the best every single day. And so when you get into the season and gets into the scout team and stuff, and if you're not with, the ones, you don't really get to see your film as much. And so I love camp that you get to go through and see the film process and evaluation of everybody. And so that's my favorite part, because I get to go out there and literally every single day, everybody in my room sees it, and everybody, all the coaches and everybody's evaluating every single play. So I love that because I pride myself on taking every single snap seriously.
Heck yeah, man.
Talking about those players, we've had both Jonnu Smith and Jody Fortson on here, and both of them have said the same thing. Tanner Conner is going to be a problem for defenses this year, especially in Mike's offense. So coming into your third season, where do you see yourself excelling and contributing to the number one offense in the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, it's a stacked room and it's a stacked offense. So to say you see yourself, doing something in the offense is definitely something that you pride yourself on. But for me, I want to see myself as a role player, something that's consistent. I know we brought in Jonnu, we brought in Jody, we got Durham, who's consistent. Julian's doing really well, both in the run and pass game. And so for me, carving out my own role has been kind of tricky. I feel like I need to separate myself a little bit more with my own unique skill set. But in this offense, the mismatch nightmare I feel like I can create on the inside from inline and from slot could be a problem for defense, just because they don't expect you to come out and be the fast white guy on the field and really blow by. I think that's where I could really excel and do well in the league, but I just haven't been able to show it yet.
Yeah, and that's funny. We always like joking around with the white football player tropes around here. Blue collar guy first one in, last one out.
Mm-hmm.
Lunch pail guy. Smart
the stereotype holds up for sure. I mean,
by the way, shout out Blake. We miss you, Blake.
Shout out
team
Blake.
Player. Yeah,
well, we got one on special teams, we got one on offense, and we got one on defense. We got Ethan Bonner, we got you on offense, and then we got Blake holding it down in the special teams room. So we're painting the corners, man.
Come on, man. We're doing our part.
Ethan Bonner coming on strong too at that defensive back position, dude.
Dude, he's doing great. I mean, Ethan Bonner's, had a massive jump from last year to this year. I mean, that dude's he oozes confidence, and he goes out there and he plays like it. So I'm super happy to see how he's done so far in OTAs in camp.
Yeah, it's great. It's great just seeing like all these tweets coming out of all these guys, that have been here, a year or two, and yourself 3 years, just coming out every day. Like, this guy is making a play, and then having the players come on this podcast and say, like, yeah, dude, this is real. These guys are actually making some big plays out here.
Yeah, no, he's doing great, and there's a lot of guys in the same shoes.
Yeah, I guess we just need to get Ethan Bonner on here to finish the trio out, and we'll be good to go.
I guess we got to.
I can hit up Ethan. I'm sure he'd love to come up here. He's kind of quiet, but maybe we can get him on here. I mean, he doesn't talk too much. Yeah,
we'll get him talking.
Yep. So one thing, the coolest thing I found listening to your story and kind of digging into your story a little bit was when you came into college, you weighed 180.
Yeah.
And when you left college, you were 230 and faster.
Yep.
So let's talk about, how does one gain 50 pounds and become more explosive?
I was a late bloomer. My whole family's been late bloomers. I have two younger brothers, and they kind of went through the same thing. They're both in college right now, and they started to excel after their freshman year. And so when I got there, I was just playing receiver. I was like 180 pounds. I tried to be fast, and then I redshirted, and so I was like, well, let's see how big and strong I can get, and just started eating, really took my diet seriously, really hit the weight room hard every single day, and just naturally gained a bunch of weight, gained way more than I thought. I never thought I'd be that heavy, and be able to continue to move and be agile as a receiver. And so I think what helped me the most was the complementary aspect of track and field, where I was running too. So I was getting bigger, during the fall and the winter, and then I would go and run and track. And so I would train the muscles to move just as fast as they were before I had less weight. So I think that's really what led to the increase in speed, and while being able to maintain the weight.
What I think is funny is that you actually played DB in high school, right?
I did. I played safety.
And you were first team.
I was actually a better safety than I was receiver because we ran a wing T offense, and well, my senior year we won one game in high school too. I've been on a lot of bad teams, like I know what it's like. So we ran a wing T. It was bad.
Dude, thinking about you in wing T, that's hell. Like I couldn't imagine you in wing T. That's like Jesus Christ.
Just straight gassers all day.
You're the prototype for the wing T offense.
Yeah, it was brutal. And then like eventually halfway through the year, like we might as well just run spread now. And so like we started throwing me like go balls and it kind of worked. And so we kind of just kept with that. But I mean, it was brutal for a while. But on defense, I was like, man, I'm not doing anything on offense. I might as well get active on defense. And so I was playing free safety. I think I led the team in solo tackles, which a free safety shouldn't do. Like we were just bad. So it was rough, man. But it built a lot of character for sure.
And your pops played linebacker, right?
My dad did play linebacker. He played in the league for 2 or 3 years. Kind of had a rotator cuff injury that ended his career, but he played outside linebacker back when they were like 245 pounds, Sam linebackers. So they're a lot smaller now.
Back when, I was going to say, you said you were a late bloomer. I was watching your story once again and seeing your dad at Oregon, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
This is the 1990s linebacker.
Yeah, that was a big boy. My middle brother is kind of similar size to him. I ended up being the smallest of my 3 brothers. I'm the shortest of all of us. So, but it still worked out for me. But yeah, my dad was big and he was athletic too. He was a decathlete in high school, and he wished he did it in college like I did, but he ended up not doing it.
Ghost, I think you had something earlier. Sorry about that.
Oh yeah, we were talking about like the wing T offense. We saw a couple tweets of some of the tight ends coming out of the backfield this year. Did he carve out a role in the wing T for the Dolphins?
Yeah, I don't think so, but we have put Jonnu in the backfield. I mean, actually, all of us have been in the backfield. We've exchanged roles with fullback when Alex on in there, and so we try to be a diversified group. Ambo prides us on being able to line up at any spot and be able to compete. So Jonnu's been pretty active in the backfield, something he's done in his career and been successful at, and so all of us has kind of had a taste at it. But you'll definitely see probably some of us in the backfield this year.
Yeah, and people may not know this. You were talking about dual sport, but you're a track star, man. State champion hurdler. And Jody really emphasized how fast you were on the podcast. So we got to know. We already asked Tyreek if you put a bunch of guys in a race. We got to know how many players on this team can beat you in a 60-meter race. Don't be humble. We want to hear it.
Yeah.
Give us a real number. Give us a real number.
It's tough. I don't think I'm as fast as I was in college. I know for sure Tyreek, Waddle, Devon A-Chain, Raheem. People sleep on Raheem. That dude still can move. I mean, he is fast. He doesn't look like it either, but like he glides. Ethan Bonner is super fast. Elijah Campbell is extremely fast. People don't know about that. That dude can move as well. Those are the guys that come right off the top of my head that I know can beat me. But I talk a lot of mess to the rest of the receivers. I don't talk to Jalen or Tyreek. They have their crown. They can keep it. But like I've talked to Braylon, Eric Ezukamna. I mean,
I'm sure you tell River you can eat them. 100%.
River knows. River does it. That's just something we respect each other's game, and we don't talk trash to each other. But I think a lot of guys would be surprised if I lined up. I could move pretty well in a straight line. So
it's only fair that since the reason we got you here is because everyone bragging about your performance in OTA's training camp. Who is the guy for you? Who are you seeing out there that you're like, damn, this dude's coming on?
Yeah, I'll switch up. I'll go with the defensive side because this guy's been popping up for me a lot, and it's been Quentin Bell. I respect him a lot because he feels very similar to me as an athlete. He's massive. He's like Jalen Phillips size, but that dude can run and he can jump. He was a receiver, I think, in college, and he ran track as well, was super fast. And so he was on the practice squad with me last year, and so we kind of went through the same thing, just trying to develop. And he's taken every opportunity he's had this year with our injuries at the edge position. And he's done super well. I mean, that dude sets a hard edge and is super tough to move in the run game, and he's flying all over the field and does well on special teams too. So that dude's been outstanding, especially in training camp with the pads on.
Have you had the pleasure of having to line up over Calais yet?
No, hopefully I never have to. Hopefully my coaches know better than to do that to me. But sometimes you do get stuck on a 4-eye or a 3-tech, just the way the run game goes. But I haven't seen Calais in the run game. That dude is a massive human being. When he first showed up the locker room, I was like, that's the biggest. I thought Raekwon was the biggest person I've ever seen, but Calais, I think, might be bigger.
That's funny because I was about to ask you who's that one guy you hate going against every practice? And I'm thinking to myself, man, could you imagine if you had to go up against Calais all day?
It would, not be fun. I mean, that's a lot of veteran experience and it's a lot of mass, and he knows what he's doing and very, very established in the run game. For me, I mean, like if I'm lining up against an edge, I've gone against Chop Robinson a lot this training camp. I've gone against Cam Brown, but when I see Quentin Bell, I know that there's about to be a collision. So that's the dude that I have to like mentally prepare myself for every single day.
Let's talk about Chop Robinson for a little bit. So he's been having just as you've gotten tweets every single day from all the reporters. Chop Robinson has been making waves. What's your first impression of Chop Robinson? What's it like going against him? What does he do well, and what does he exceed at? What makes him difficult to stop?
Yeah, I mean, just as a human, he's super quiet. I mean, he seems pretty humble. Seems like a really good dude. Takes everything seriously from defense to special teams. From an actual football perspective, that dude is explosive, extremely explosive. And you don't really notice it like until you go against him. He's already past you. Like he just gets off the line. He's got his eyes set on a point, and he's going from point A to point B faster than anybody else on the field. He's got unusual bend for someone his size. The way he can bend and get underneath dudes is really impressive. So that dude's got an athletic makeup that I think our coaches obviously saw and drafted him for a reason.
Yeah, he's been making absolute waves. Like every single day, we're seeing something about Chop Robinson. When with your first round pick, that's what you want to see. But I just want to get your perspective, someone that's going head to head with them every single day. But Tanner, when you first got to the Dolphins, who were the players in the locker room that reached out or took the initiative to welcome you on the team, walk you through that whole rookie process? And I'm sure that's very overwhelming. And we've had a couple of guys come on here and say, hey, this guy or this guy came up to me and, they helped walk me through the new process, the new team, the new playbook. Who were the guys that were like that for you?
Yeah, I think to preface it, it's really hard to be the guy who helps the new guys come in, because at the end of the day, you're trying to worry about taking care of your family, your job, and your responsibility. And so when you have guys that do that, it's really special. For me, there was two guys that stood out, and it was Mike Gesicki and Alec Ingold. My first couple of games, I was having, a rough start to the NFL, trying to learn how to play tight end and all of that. And I remember Alec came up to me and kind of told me how he also went through the same struggles as a UDFA, trying to learn how to play in the league. And it really helped me get a new perspective on, how my situation was going. And he's been super great. He's been, even the last 3 years, he's a great guy. And I'm pretty sure there's not a single person on our team that would say anything ill about Alec, but he's been super good. And then Mike Gesicki was the guy in my position group who literally cared about me. Anytime I would have an issue or anything, or he noticed something, like he would come up to me or text me out of nowhere and be like, hey man, just let you know that you're doing a great job. Like keep pushing, like, don't worry about this side or the other. Like you're doing your thing. So I miss Mike. He was a great dude. And Alec was the other guy for me.
Yeah. We had Alec on here and man, he walks the walk, doesn't he? We went through his book with him. We all read his book before he came on the podcast. And that guy is just all fire, like all motivation the entire time that he was on this podcast. Like he is who he says he is, and he walks that walk. What's it like being in the locker room with him?
Great. I think it's really funny because you see him on podcasts and stuff and he's still well spoken, but he's very quiet. I mean, he's very to himself in the locker room. He walks around, he's nice people, but he's not like super boisterous or outgoing. He's a very quiet dude, but when he speaks, people listen. Like every time he speaks, like there's some purpose and there's some initiative to it. And so I think if you only know Alec from watching him on podcasts and stuff, you'd be surprised kind of how quiet he is in person. And so just a super good guy. Like you can feel his energy before practice. He's sitting on a box before practice, just staring directly in front of him at nothing, just like getting himself hyped for practice. So that he takes everything seriously, and you can only imagine how he is before game days, but super great dude. Love Alec.
Yeah,
Speaking of game day, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just saying he really talked about that's what he said. His leadership style is like he leads by his example. He's like, I'm going to go to the weight room. I'm going to make sure that everyone sees me working as hard as I possibly can and just be that guy. He doesn't need to be vocal. And when people like that do speak, everyone listens. And he's well respected on this team. And we were happy to have him. But I just had to get your perspective because I was ready to run through a wall about 7 times on the podcast. Yeah. Man. He gave us so much. He gave us so much fire, so much motivation. So it's always good hearing about the guys like that in the room.
Yeah, his adversity definitely speaks volumes. I mean, he's went through a lot and he's come from a lot, and he shows it, and he carries that chip on his shoulder. No matter how well respected he is around the league or how much people say about him, he carries the same chip every single day.
So I was going to say, speaking of game day, we're 5 days out from the first preseason game. Obviously, for a guy like you fighting for your spot on the 53, where's your mentality at right now? And have you had any indications like how much you're going to play, what they want to do with you, any of that?
Yeah, so I imagine I'll play in all 3 games. I think they always choose a game where the vets, like the guys who are locks for the game or for the season, are gonna play for a little bit, and then they won't play the other games. I don't know which ones those are yet, but I'm sure I'll be in every single game, especially because I've had such like bad injuries from the last two preseasons. I've only played in two preseason games in the last 2 years. I've only made the first one of my rookie year and the third one last year. So I should be getting a lot of playing time, and I'm excited for it. For me, I'm just excited to go out there and go against other people so they can really see what I've done. I mean, there's been a lot of talks about how I do, but it's always like hearsay. Guys tell you about it, and now I actually want to be able to show, other teams, the people, the Dolphin fans, what I can actually do.
Talking about hitting other guys from different teams, obviously, the collaborative and the mutual practices that the league has kind of implemented over the past few years. How important is that to the team experience during training camp, where previously that you would just go into a preseason game after practicing with your own guys? How beneficial is that for the team to have those mutual practices leading up to the preseason games? In the recent years.
Super beneficial. I know there's always like controversy about whether we should get rid of preseason games or not. For guys like me who are always in the bubble, it's great to get other teams' eyes on you, be able to have other coaches like, no, that guy looks pretty good. Or maybe in the future, if that's somebody that's, a free agent, we can pick them up. But from just a game standpoint, being able to practice against other teams, you get to see how they play. Everybody plays their edges a little bit differently on defense and has different schematics. So being able to get a feel for that during the week just kind of makes the games go a lot smoother during the preseason. It's kind of like, an in-season game where you scout for them. So I'm sure we'll kind of game plan slightly for that, but we usually don't game plan too heavy for preseason games.
So speaking of being excited to show like the world, kind of what you've been working on and the progress you've made, Durham Smythe recently said that he's been impressed with how you've become a tight end, a more overall well-rounded tight end, and not just a receiving threat or a weapon, however you want to say you were called when you first came to the team. What have you been doing to work on that, and what does it mean to hear it, from one of your peers?
It means a lot. I asked Durham quite often, like, how do I look on that block? Because I really just need to know. I need him to straight up bluntly tell me, which he does a really good job of. Like, when you ask Durham a question, he's usually going to tell you the answer and straight to your face. And so to hear that from him was pretty sick. But what I've done specifically is I go back and I watch every minute detail of him and Julian Hill, whether it's hitting the sled, we take video of that, whether it's doing triples in Indy. Like, I watch all of those things to see how they move. And I go back and I watch myself do it and then see what the difference is and why sometimes they're more effective than I am. And so whether they know it or not, I watch their games significantly more than they probably think I do. And I pick up a lot of things from them. And I think that's what's helped me become more of a tight end. I mean, when I first got to the league, I didn't even know what a 9 tech was. I had zero idea. how I ID a box or anything like that. And so this year, especially, like, understanding how blocking schemes works and what the runs actually are has been pretty big for my game.
Yeah, I thought I recently heard you say that, and I thought it was pretty cool. You don't really think about this. You watch like indie drill tape, and I never even thought that they were taping that. So like the fact that you could go back after practice and you're like, all right, let's pull up the sled work. And like, you sit there and watch every sled rep. It's like, dude, that's intense. Like, I never even thought about that.
Yeah. I mean, if they're recording it, it's probably for a reason. And so I utilize it. I take advantage of every kind of data metric I can get. And so if I can watch somebody who's been established in the league for 7 years block a sled, I'm going to watch how he does it and see how I can try to mimic that to the best of my ability.
And guys, like, we have just about every single tight end in the room on this podcast so far. So like, let's talk about Julian Hill for a little bit, because, I think the fans, we always throw his name around. We always know that he's part of this room, and Jody and Janu, and they've had a lot of good things to say about him. But what's it like watching him work and watching him grow as a player?
When you talk about like dedicated to the craft, he is like the definition. There's probably not anybody on the team that works harder than him. I mean, I have to try to keep up in the off season. He's been my training partner the last 2 years. I mean, we go in there in the off season, we hit jugs together, we do routes on air together, we're in the weight room together, we're hitting the sled together. Like, him and I have been really close training wise, but like, he takes everything so seriously, almost too seriously. Like, I tell him sometimes you got to take some time for yourself and have some fun. Like, it's not the end of the world. Like, you can take a day off or do something less. And so he's super in tune with his body. He's in the facility every single day. He watches what he eats. He's constantly doing more work. If he has a rep in practice that he doesn't like, he literally goes straight from practice to our tight end room and he's watching it. Like, he is obsessive about everything football. And so similar to me, a UDFA guy, really carries that chip on his shoulder, but like, he is intense. And if we get him on here, like, you'll see he's an intense person to talk to, and football is very serious for him.
And dude, it's kind of cool because like I feel like ever since Coach Mike has been here, his eye for these undrafted free agents is just like, to me, it's just insane. Like
Yeah.
most of the guys that we have with the UDFAs, like you guys are all dogs. Like it's not just by chance. You guys
Yeah.
are all out there really competing for spots. You're not just bodies.
I know it's funny. We'll watch other teams practice and other teams film, or like watching them. And it's like the intensity of our practices are just so much more than other places. And even when other guys come into our team, like, man, you guys like really hit it hard here. Like you guys do way more. Like it's way more intense. It's way more fast paced. And so when they bring in on UDF guys, they expect us to be able to match that. And I think that's just the culture around here, and especially in our room. Embo doesn't play. Like he does not play with divas. Like if you're a guy who thinks he's something, like you're not, if you're a guy who thinks you're not going to block in the run game, you will not be here. Like he does not care. He doesn't play any games. So every guy that he brings in is a hard-nosed guy that's going to work every single day.
And he seems like a guy I don't want to argue with.
Nope, you don't.
And it's pretty cool that you said that you and Julian Hill have kind of been linked at the hip the last couple of years, because y'all have similar stories. I mean, small schools, under the radar, just have to show up every day and grind. So that's cool to hear that y'all both lean on each other and kind of feed off each other.
Yeah, no, I mean, when the news broke that we were signing Jonnu and Jody, which like it happens every year, you have to fill up the tight end room if you get rid of guys. Like Julian, he hit me up. He's like, yo, let's go fight for this spot on the roster. And so that's what we did all offseason. We went in every single day and we were grinding every single day. We literally would shoot routes to each other with a jugs machine because we didn't have a quarterback. So we would go out there and shoot the jugs at each other, like in full routes. Like that's how far we took it. So he's been a great partner. I think the biggest downfall for me not being on this team is that I wouldn't be able to train with him anymore.
You were saying that no block, no rock, and I think I finally like bought into that when I saw Tyreek sprinting down the field throwing blocks.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that mentality. It's everyone's out there, and it's something that the fans do notice too. Is you don't really pick it up, if you're like casually watching the game, but you always see guys out there, getting downfield, blocking. I mean, it's a huge aspect for Mike's game, and that's the kind of players he wants, and he wants very unselfish players. And everything we hear about the guys in the locker room, like you were just saying, that's just completely an unselfish nature, and that's what you got to have about you, or else you're not going to be on that team.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, you think of guys like River Craycraft are going to be in the run game blocking, but like just the other day, Tyreek is pin blocking defensive edges. Braxton Berrios took on a 5-tech the other day. Like, and he got like, it's just, he's got no chance. Like he's in there fighting people who are 3 times his size.
Yeah.
Like it's no joke around here. And it definitely helps. I mean, when all the receivers are blocking like that, like it opens up the pass game, as you guys have seen.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I was going to say real quick is like,
Yeah, good.
I feel like our practices are so intense because we know how close we are to being great.
Yeah.
100%. Like when you can taste that greatness and then you fell short, like I'm coming back next year and I'm doing anything possible to be great.
I mean, yeah, Jalen Ramsey hasn't taken a day off yet. He's out there every single day making plays on us. Like he wants it. And so there's a lot of guys like that on the team, for whether you're a UDFA trying to make the team or you're a well-established guy who's been in the league for a long time. Like everybody has the same mentality right now.
We've heard since Mike has been here, again, getting back to, no block, no rock. Is that like a culture that's built? Is that something that's driven into you directly, or is it kind of like subconsciously kind of driven into you, as the culture for the Miami Dolphins? Because we do see it, but from a player's perspective, how does that seep into your game, and how does that seep in during the meetings, whatever it may be, whether it's in the tight end room or the general meetings for the teams? How does that seep into the players?
Yeah, I mean, it is literally the culture. Like if you're a guy who comes in, you're like, okay, like I'll do the blocking, like just to do it, but then you're on screen, you're watching Tyreek Hill in an NFL game, like go and block a 270-pound defensive edge. You're like, oh, they're serious about it here. Like that, they don't play. And so I know our room specifically, like it's just non-negotiable. You show up and like you watch everybody block, and you're like, oh, if I'm not going to do that, like I'm gonna stick out really bad. So. I think just the culture that's been cultivated here the last couple of years really shows that if you're a guy coming into this program, you're like, yeah, okay, I'm watching everybody else do it. Like I can't be the guy caught not doing it, or to the intensity that they need. So this is definitely a cultural thing, but our room specifically, we take pride in it.
By the way, I see the shoe collection behind you.
I do have some shoes. My wife's and I's are kind of mixed and matched in there.
What's your favorite shoe right now?
Any kind of Air Jordan is what I wear, but
nice.
I'm not a super big shoe head. Like this is kind of the first time I've ever actually bought shoes. I mean, when I was in college, I wore my Idaho State gear every day until I met my wife, and she was my girlfriend at the time, and she literally started buying me clothes to wear. She's like, "You can't wear this every day." I'm like, "Why not? Like, this is what I wear." And so she's the one that gets me all these shoes. I'm not a big shoe head. Like Jody Fortson comes in every day with the new fit. Like that dude, he got some good style. But for me, it's just those are game day. So yeah, he's drippy, just like McD. But yeah, I'm starting to diversify it a little bit.
I love to see it. I'm actually Ghost is a nice little success story as well. When I first met him,
Yo, come on, man.
I first met him, his style of clothing was questionable to say the least.
Okay.
And you know what? We honed it in. I'm really proud of you, buddy. You really come in your own like a peacock now.
You got to let me fly, right? Peacocks can't fly.
So give us
Joe Robbie's got that developmental trait that you find on college football.
That's good.
So give us your best Mike McDaniel story. What you got? Give us a funny one.
Best Mike McDaniel story. I don't know. He came into the weight room during the offseason, and me and Ethan Bonner are in there, and he kind of walks up the stairs and goes, "Just look at this, man. I love how you guys enforce the white stereotype. Hardworking, blue collar guys in the weight room. I mean, you guys are doing everything that we asked for as you know, a white NFL football player." So I get that a lot from him. He's very in tune with the culture of our team. He likes to mess with my name a lot. He calls me different ones every single time, whether it's Connor or Tanner or both or in reverse order. He does that to me quite a bit. So he's just a very interesting guy. You really don't talk to him much. When you do, it's like, oh, you always leave kind of puzzled afterwards. Like, what did that really mean?
Yeah, I
he's
can
like
see
the
that.
Aristotle of football.
Yeah,
I could definitely see that being a thing.
Yeah,
Yo, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that, bro. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I love when I first got here and he was like, "Yeah, I know I look like your guys' geometry teacher in high school, but I promise you I know football." And he was right. He knows football. I've never seen someone just call plays off the dome before and like the move the ball period. It's pretty insane.
Was it Johnu that said he looked like he worked at AT&T and then he started talking football and he was like, "What the hell?"
He said T-Mobile.
T-Mobile.
He said he looked like a T-Mobile employee. He's like, "What?" Then he heard him talk football and he was like, "Oh my God, this guy is a genius."
So moving over to the chat a little bit, this is a pretty good question. Give us what you can. Obviously, don't give the Bills anything to use against us. But what does Anthony Weaver's defense look like? How are them boys looking, man?
Pretty good. I mean, they disguise shell really well, and they pressure us pretty good. I mean, we've had a hard time just IDing them up front just because they move guys around so much. Like, I mean, one play Jalen Ramsey's in the nickel, and the other one's he's at corner, and then you have Cater in the like they just move guys around everywhere, and so IDing it has been really tough. But those guys fly around. I think like Vic Fangio's defense was like super stout last year, but like this one gives a lot more freedom to the players on defense to go make plays, and so it's been tough for us to adjust to right off the bat.
Yeah, we love to hear that, man. Hearing the multiple looks and moving Ramsey all over, I think that's where he's best as the star role. So knowing that Weaver is trying to use his best guys in the best ways, that's music to our ears. So that's really cool to hear. That was a perfect answer. That was music to my ears.
Yeah,
Tanner,
it's been tough.
I got a question in the chat. I don't know if you know this guy from your past, Ethan Kluge. It says,
Ethan Kluge? Yeah.
It says, how did the intensity of your third grade AAU basketball team prepare you for the NFL practice?
So Ethan was on my AAU team back in the day, and the intensity was rough. We had a coach, his name was Gerald Bennett. I'll never forget him, and he literally made me cry at practice because I couldn't handle how intense he was. And so I would literally be in basketball practice like in tears because he'd yell at me so much I didn't know what to do. So it definitely shaped me for this moment in the NFL. No pressure can break me now.
Those third grade practices, man, that gets intense.
Yeah, it was intense. I loved basketball. It was my first love. I just was never really any good at it.
Yeah, I love basketball too. Again, it's just a white thing. It's we can only climb so high.
Yeah, you can only do so much. I mean, basketball, you have to be a certain prototype. Football, you can just work hard enough, and if you're athletic, you can make it. But basketball,
or if you can just snap the hell out of the ball.
You can snap if you can snap as a long snapper, you can have a long career. Blake Ferguson, bless his heart, will play it a long time.
He's locked in.
Yeah.
The irony of you saying that, Joe, is you're talking to the one white guy who's 6'3", 240, runs a 4.3, jumps 40 inches. So
I'm sure he's
doesn't really relate.
In the off season, he's just yamming on guys in the plantation. LA Fitness.
I definitely play above the rim. It's hilarious. Every single time I show up and play pickup, like the first one where I go up, they're like, "Who are you? Like, what was that? Like, you don't look like you can jump that high or run that fast." And then I have to explain to them how I'm a construction worker and I just work out a lot and do a lot of Olympic plyometric work. So
that'd be like a good TikTok theme.
I was gonna say you're the stereotypical like viral clip of the guy that shows up like
I know.
Cheap shoes, kind of like stretching in the corner, like, can I get next? And then you come out there and just start yamming on everybody.
Yeah, I keep like the professor, except without handles. I just go up and yam on people. So maybe something in the future I can do that.
By the way, before Rob Hunt went to where do you go? Carolina, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I used to play basketball with him in the off season on Saturdays.
Nice.
Big boy was kind of good.
Oh yeah, I played before he left. I played pickleball at his house with him and Zach Sealer, and those boys were flying around the pickleball court. It was
move, bro.
Yeah, that's why he got paid. Big boys like that can move. I mean, they're gonna make a lot of money in the league.
Speaking of big boys that can move, how's Brewer been looking?
Good. I mean, that dude's super athletic. I'm really excited to see what we can do like in open space when we run like screens and stuff, because that guy can fly. I mean, he's super agile. He's very good at the line. He can reach the nose really well, and so I think he's looked really well.
Bro's built like a bulldog for real.
Yeah, he's super strong in the weight room. He's a freak.
Everybody wants to know they freak out about this. We got a little bit of PTSD with it, but the snapping issues. You think they working on it? We're gonna get it figured out. What's going on there?
I think last practice we didn't have any egregious ones, or maybe we just one.
Egregious. We're moving the bar.
You gotta explain that a little bit.
Well, like an egregious snap issue is like where we just can't get the playoff, but like sometimes they can like bobble it and they still get to the back or drop in the progression. It's definitely improved a lot after there was an emphasis, and I think Tua and Brewer work on it. But there was we have so many guys who are playing center who've never played center before, and every time you get a new center, the exchange, especially they didn't have as much work in OTAs. So now is kind of where the growing pains happen, but it seems like it's going to be fixed pretty soon.
By the way, you got to read Garrett Ness's question.
Oh, I got to find it here. Where is it?
I got it.
How did the pool fights with his brothers, friends, and dad prepare him for the philosophy of the NFL?
I think all my boys from back home.
These are hard-hitting questions.
Yeah, so bringing the heat.
When we were a kid, my dad was built obviously as an NFL player, and so he would launch us around the pool, and it toughened us up a lot because it'd be me and my two younger brothers trying to gang up on my dad, and he would have no mercy, and so we would always try to gang up on him, and he would throw us and launch us all around, and so again, another childhood memory that has shaped me to handle the pressures of the NFL. Thank you guys for bringing that up.
Have you seen the kid outside, the punter? Have you seen him?
I haven't. I don't get there early enough. I think he showed up at like 2 a.m. the other day because Danny said he shows up at 3. So I don't know if Danny saw him or not, but I don't know how that works. If you could just, say, hey, can we just try this dude out? But you might as well give him a shot. I mean, he's working hard. It can't be the worst thing.
I mean, give the kid 3 punts.
Yeah.
Give him 3 punts.
So let him go out there and kick the ball. I don't know. I have zero idea who he is, but I've heard about him. He's dedicated.
Yeah, did you see we had him on the other day when that first kind of dropped it was like on ESPN and whatnot, and he didn't have too much of a tan then, but you see pictures of him now. He's like burnt to a crisp, just standing out there in the sun like all day.
That poor dude, man. I mean, he wants it. I don't know if I would do the same. I feel like the NFL is very cut and dry, so I don't know if they do charity work like that, but I guess we'll see. Maybe if I see a tryout next couple of days, I'll see him.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, that's what I told him. I said, regardless of how it turns out, you did more than I would have did. You stuck yourself out there for the world to see, and hey, you can always hang your hat on that, whether it works out or not. You did what you could.
Yeah, 100%.
So a good question from the chat. If you've been studying tight end more and more, obviously, do you have a top 5 or maybe guys you go to the most that you've learned the most from their game or?
Mm-hmm. I don't have a top 5. I think tight end is very ambiguous now because you have so many guys who are just playing receiver. Like Travis Kelce, when I watch his film, he's just playing receiver. Same with Mark Andrews. And Mark Andrews is a massive human being. And he's playing receiver most of the time. But I watch a lot of Evan Ingram just because we're similar stature, speed, ability. And so I watch him for route running. And then for blocking, I watch our own guys just because of how our offense runs. Not a lot of people in the league run the same kind of offense we do besides the 49ers and maybe the Lions a little bit. And so obviously watching Kittle and watching those guys, Embo has great film on all of them. And he'll show us clips from the 49ers, but I watch our own guys for the most part in blocking. But when it comes to a pass game, I love to watch Evan Ingram because I think our games are kind of similar.
How has it been for you moving? Like you were living in Idaho, obviously. You're from Washington.
Yeah.
This is a completely different culture down here.
Oh yeah.
How's that been for you?
Yeah, I mean, I came down here and I found out I was the minority real quick. So I love it. I
Yup.
love it down in Florida. I think I would stay here if it wasn't so expensive to live here. But like buying a house, like a long-term house. But I started in Seattle, went to Idaho, and got really cold there. I hate the cold. When I was coming out of the draft, I told myself I'm not signing anywhere that's cold if I have the option to, because I can't handle it. Like I gotta be in the heat. And so coming down here, I didn't realize the heat would be this much, the humidity and everything. But I love Florida, the culture and the food and the nightlife is really cool.
All right, everybody gets on me because I love asking food questions, so I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna
Might as well do it.
Yeah. So what are your go-to restaurants down here right now?
My go-to restaurants. I just went to my wife and I just found a spot called Poppy's Pizza. It's a hole in the wall up in Sunrise, Florida.
Nice.
Kind of a ghetto area by Wawa. And as soon as we rolled up, I knew it was like a hole in the wall, looked kind of sketchy. I'm like, this pizza's about to be banging. And it was the best pizza I've had since I've been here. And so Poppy's Pizza is pretty good. But other than that, like I'm pretty like vanilla. I go to like chain restaurants like Lime Kitchen and fast food like that. I'm unapologetically a huge Panera Bread lover. I go there way too much. I eat there quite a bit because I can kind of convince myself that it's healthy, even though it's fast food, and so that's where I eat a lot. But I'm not super bougie. I don't go to like Komodo or anything like that. I like to save my money, and so I usually go places that are a little bit cheaper.
Nice.
Joe's
Oh
has
yeah,
some-
the Hat Boys. I got
Yeah.
one for you too, by the way.
We're gonna be coming down to camp. I'm just gonna be throwing them on the field.
Hey, you'll get guys on the podcast that way.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So
Joe actually
it's like the Rat Pack in the in the hockey game.
Yeah. I've also, when I got here, I've never watched hockey before until I came to Florida, and the atmosphere at those games is electric. I love
Panthers,
hockey now.
baby.
I'm a huge hockey fan now. I love the Panthers, and they just won. So they had me scared for a minute, but they pulled it out.
Yeah, dude, those games are electric because it's so small. It's like so different.
Yeah.
Like football stadiums, you're so open.
Yeah.
Unless you're in a dome, obviously, but
Yeah, I was in a dome, but we only had, I think the most audience we ever had in one of our games was like 10,000. And
that's okay, buddy. I went to a school called Concordia University. I think
Yep,
I
I know,
had 50
yep.
people. Yep.
we ran, when I was in track, we ran against a lot of smaller schools, and we ran against Concordia actually a few times at meets.
Speaking of small
Shout out
schools,
Concordia.
Nice.
we know this is something you want to speak on. NCAA 25 did you boys wrong.
They did us dirty.
The Big Sky is not in the game. How we feeling?
Yeah. Pretty upset. I mean, there's a lot of guys from the Big Sky who are draft picks, even like the second and third round. So to have like an entire conference omitted just because they're FCS, I think is pretty lame. I know that like a lot of schools have been added with the the extension packs and stuff, but I was pretty upset. So I boycotted the game. I don't got it.
We're probably gonna see like it's a huge modding community too, and you can always download the content. And hopefully, like with a team builder and all that, they'll have somebody that puts that stuff in the game. But yeah, just axing the entire conference is crazy.
Yeah, it would have been really cool because I would have loved to see myself in a game, but it is what it is. I mean, I've been in Madden. I guess that's cool, but like being in like the NCAA would have been sick.
Yeah, it's a whole different feel for sure.
Yeah, it was just different.
Do you still follow Idaho State football? Like,
I do.
Supposed to be good.
They run like a it's pretty ironic. They run like a no tight end all spread offense now. They literally air raid the ball. They throw more than anybody else in the entire FCS. So that would have been sick when I was there. I would have done a lot better. But I think they're doing a little bit better. They're still like not top of conference. I think they're winning more games than when I was there. So I mean that says something about they got a whole new coach. After my last year, they fired the entire staff. They were all gone. So they had to rebuild, and I think they're doing better. They have some athletes on offense.
Are you trying to tell us that you were carrying the whole staff? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, but I remember before our last game against Idaho and in the Potato Bowl, or I guess it was the Toilet Bowl.
Oh, nice.
Because
Potato Bowl.
because it was the last game of my senior season, and Idaho had fired their head coach, and we fired our head coach the week of the game. So Fenn comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, they just fired." It was like Wednesday before the game. He's like, "Hey, they just fired me." I'm like, "Are you going to be our coach for the game?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll still be the coach, but I'm not going to be here after that." I was like, "Okay, I mean that works." Then the next day, Idaho fired their head coach, and he was still there too. So it was literally a battle of the fired head coaches, and we lost. So fitting, but. Yeah, I mean, you could say that. I mean, when I came in at Idaho State, Fennessy was my receiver coach, became the head coach, and after 4 years, he got fired. So maybe it was my fault. I don't know. I feel
They,
bad.
No,
you
no.
never they never gave you a shot for playing defense on in Idaho?
No, we talked about it. We talked about maybe having some packages like being an edge rusher, or maybe like a
That's
stack
crazy.
backer.
That's
So, but I never got around to it. They wanted to protect me on offense because my last year they were like, we need you bad, so you can't be messing around getting hurt. Because I wanted to play special teams too. That was one of the biggest hits coming into the league. Is I had like no special teams film because my coach was like, no, we can't afford to lose you on special teams. So what I would do is I would practice special teams, all the units in practice, just so I had like a rep at it, but then I wouldn't play in the games. So
That's actually a good point you make because we recently heard that you've been flying down the field on kickoff, right?
yeah, the new rules have been pretty interesting. I think I like them though. I think it's gonna make the play a lot more dynamic, and it should be a lot more fun to watch going forward.
Someone recently said that y'all had to make Crossman seen the Thursday Night Hall of Fame game and then made some adjustments. Can you let us in on those adjustments or?
Yeah, I think I think it was something really small. Like we didn't know that you could have certain guys between the hash marks and the numbers, and so there's like we thought it had to be 2, 2, and 2 between sideline numbers, hash mark numbers, and then hash mark to hash mark. But it's actually only 1, so you can move around more guys laterally than we thought we could before. And so it was a small change, but it was just seeing different teams play differently than how we've been doing it. And so we're not changing anything we're doing, but it was interesting to see it live for the first time. It seems like just straight chaos. So hopefully there's some good plays that come out of it.
It almost reminds me of like that UFC, the one where like a bunch of people were in the ring fighting.
Yes. Yeah.
Like the team
like
fighting.
a straight up cage fight. And like that's what it becomes. Like it becomes like a massive humanity in one spot, and then the returner just hopefully either gets through or they just get absolutely destroyed. So I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, dude. I am definitely slamming the overs at least the first 3-4 weeks before they catch on to how many touchdowns it's going to be.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
all it takes is one guy to fail and a whole pop. So there's nobody behind there.
Yeah, especially like when you're backside of the kick, it feels really, really empty. Like everybody's going to one side of the field, and there's just so much room for a field return. And so, might be something we see from teams. I don't know, but it'll be very interesting. I hope it doesn't become like something where teams are scoring more points on special teams than they are on offense. But well, I guess we'll see it happens.
Yeah, it's crazy that it wasn't even like a tested thing. It was kind of like this is just the new rule change, and it is going to be very interesting. And I think I put out a tweet. I put out a tweet the other day. It was talking about if this does take off, and we do have a bunch of more touchdowns coming from special teams because of this rule, and somehow down the road, this person or this player beats out Devin Hester's record. Did they get an asterisk or not?
Have to. Like,
yeah,
it's a completely different game.
That's an end of an era now. It's the end of an era, 100%.
He just got put in the Hall of Fame, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Inducted. Yeah.
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 So
No, it has to, because it's a completely different game now. I mean, I was saying after last year, I thought they're going to take out the play entirely because like they made it like a touchback game. So like last season was literally mostly touchbacks. I'm like, they're just going to take it out, and then they decided not to.
It was it was kind of getting close to being irrelevant. So they needed to do something. So I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
As long as they don't touch the punt game, because that would be weird.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it right now, so hopefully they don't.
And they all but absolutely axed now like onside kicks. Like it was impossible to recover one prior, but now you can't do it if you can't do it if you're winning.
Yeah.
You got to tell the other team that you're going to do it.
Yep.
So like I don't even know what they're going to do with onside kicks this year. And we're talking about rule changes. One that might affect the Miami Dolphins is the referees are putting an emphasis on quote unquote cheat motion, even though nobody's cheating. But is that something you guys talked about in the locker room? We didn't touch about that last podcast, but I'd like to get your perspective. Is Mike putting an emphasis on like do not turn up field because they're gonna be watching for this?
No, we haven't talked about it at all. I didn't even know there was a emphasis on it.
Yeah, they put out a statement. I don't know why they call it this. They call it cheat motion. Stupid rule. Yeah. So nothing changed. It's the rule basically just states that because San Francisco did it so many times, Miami, it's obviously a staple in the offense that you're running. Just an emphasis that to not turn up field or make any motion up field. So like nothing really changed, but the fact that they brought it back up to light is kind of like they were kind of just bumping the rule, and that's going to be a focus this year for referees.
Yeah, it's probably Tyreek's fault because dudes were like having zero idea how to cover him when he's already got a head full of steam. So it makes sense. I mean, there's probably some plays that have been pretty subject, like is he turning up too fast or not? But Tua's pretty good about understanding the snap count and the snap point of a play. So I don't think it'll affect us too bad. Which is probably why he hasn't brought it up yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody got flagged for last year. I don't think we ever got flagged for that.
Yeah, I don't think
last
so.
year. I can't remember a time.
We were also
But
like the first team to really do it. So the refs were like probably seeing it for the first time as well.
Exactly.
What the hell?
And like I said, like we always say as fans, it's like if it wasn't the Miami Dolphins, nobody would even bat an eye. But everyone's
Yeah.
Everyone's got to, as soon as the Miami Dolphins,
The target on our back is real.
They're gonna try to put an asterisk next to Tyreek's total yards because half of them were in motion or something like that.
Exactly. You get it, right?
As a tight end, and you have Tyreek flying behind you in motion, and does that mess with timing? Or does it kind of add something to it?
No, I mean, we're pretty used to it now. I mean, snap points and everything. Like I said, our quarterbacks are very in tune with it and understanding when to do it. And so we just have to know, like, sometimes it gets tricky with like play calls with a certain concept because you're like, okay, I have the receiver inside of me. And then all of a sudden he goes out and you're like, wait, where did I just change in my concept of the play call? So sometimes it can mess with your head a little bit, but we usually do a pretty good job of like defining what they're doing by tagging the guy in motion or something like that.
Somebody asked a question earlier, guys. Did hurdling like really help you in football? Did it translate?
Yeah, so like hurdling is very interesting because like it's a race of constant acceleration, and so every single time you go over the barrier, you're re-accelerating, and so I think that's what helped my explosiveness so much is understanding that like every single time I clear a hurdle, I have to re-accelerate again. That might have attributed to some of my explosiveness.
Yeah, it does make sense.
Give me 2 seconds. My beats just died. I'm gonna switch headsets real quick.
All good.
Boys, it's nice to see your faces again.
Third time this week, am I right?
Wish we could say the same to you, brother.
Yeah, you don't miss me. It's fine.
Yeah, this is the third time this week that I've seen Bobby, so it's we're getting sick of each other a little bit. But
yeah, I mean, yeah,
cool.
I was just
I'm
trying
back.
to take it out on somebody. He called me Blues Clue earlier, so
dude, come on, that's a good joke.
It was. I laughed.
no, it's good. I don't mind it.
We got a question in the chat. You gonna return any kicks this year?
No, Embo was telling me to go back there and ask Danny, but I'm leaving it to those guys for now. I don't know if that's a place where I'm supposed to be. So we'll let the smaller, more shiftier guys do that for the time being. Now, if they want somebody who's really good, with a running start, I can do it. I can run through some people if they need me to.
What's your take? So as a player, like you don't have to give us what you talk about in the meetings and whatnot, but half the timeline on Twitter is split between just taking the touchback at the 30-yard line or pooching it up and making them return it.
Yeah, I think we just don't know yet until we actually see how. I think the preseason is going to be great. I think the first 3 games will really get to identify like how we are on the special teams with our returners, how dynamic they are, and how good we are at blocking in space for them. So if it becomes something that's like, okay, we're not very good at this, then yeah, just take the touchback. And if not, if we're making a lot of plays or we're really close to making plays, it might be something that becomes a main source of offense for us.
Yeah, thank God we have preseason games for like rule change like this because you can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Like,
yeah, I mean, like all the people saying like we should get rid of preseason games. Imagine having a rule change like this and just starting the first game of the season being like, all right, let's see what happens. Like it would just mess up the whole season.
And it's practice for the refs too, because they probably don't even know what to call or like the new rules. So it's practice for everybody.
It's constantly evolving too. Like the refs, like just the other day, like Danny was talking about how the refs used to be right on the line for us, and now they're actually 10 yards back watching the get-offs and stuff. So like every single the more they've gone around to practices, the more they've had to change rules because like they're seeing it for the first time as well.
And another dog on special teams, Saran Neal. I mean, he's having a standout camp, especially with special teams this year, saying he's flying down, being a former wide receiver. He's getting those free releases, getting triple teamed, double teamed. What's it like working with him?
He brings a lot of energy. He's a true like special teams captain for us. So like now we have like a true guy. Like we've always had like special team guys like, Justin Bethel, Duke Riley, guys who really pride themselves on it. But like he's like that's what his game is and that's what he prides himself on. I told when he first got here, I'm like, yeah, we used to double team you a lot when you're on the Bills. So like every time we saw him, we're like, we're doubling 33. That's just what we're gonna do. He causes too much chaos. And so watching him work and seeing the intensity he brings to it helps bring along other guys to bring that same intensity on special teams.
It's funny you bring that up because Saran brought that up on the show. He said, I used to line up and look over at Danny, and I knew he was going to try to double me, but it didn't matter.
Yep. Yeah, that dude, that might be the most confident player on our team. Like he thinks that he can take on doubles. Like he don't care. He was talking the other day about being on punt, and he's like, if I get a vice and that guy is this far outside, I'm in a single. Like I'm not in a double anymore. Like I'm going inside, I'm beating him. And so he oozes confidence, and you can see it in his game.
Dude, I gotta ask. Have we been working on this play clock thing?
The play clock?
Please, it gives me anxiety.
Getting the play in. Trust me.
Yeah.
You think? I mean, we get anxiety too. Yes, we have been. I think we're a lot better at it. We've tried to simplify the play calls and understanding. I think with the growth of everybody being in the system for 3 years now is going to help as well, understanding the concept and stuff. And so the quarterbacks are doing a great job. As soon as Mike gives them the play, like I can hear in their headset, they're giving the play like as he's saying it. And so they're doing a great job of not having to hear the entire thing before they recite the play to us. And so I think we're going to be able to get it way better this year than we have in the past.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. Tyreek mentioned that the language was the biggest change for him. Like coming from KC to Miami, it was like the play calls are long. What was it like for you coming from Idaho State to McDaniel, like hearing his language?
Brutal. I've never played in a pro I before. So in Idaho State, we ran a no huddle offense, one words for an entire concept. And so when we came here and not knowing, like I had zero idea what was front side or backside, and even guys who come in like John, who said this has been the toughest offense for him because it's the first time the tight end isn't being tagged front side on the concept. Usually in a lot of offenses, the way to identify which concept is which side the tight end's on. We don't do that here. So it's really having to understand where everybody's at and where you're next to them and how the concept relates to you. So it was super tough for me to get into. I'm glad I had 2 years to get under my belt, but now I'm confident I can go anywhere else and pick up an offense.
And yeah, sometimes you look at it from the fan perspective and people might be frustrated at that, but people don't realize like this is Mike's third year as a head coach in the NFL. Like he's calling the shots here, and everybody grows, everybody learns, and people kind of just attribute that to the players, and you don't realize that Mike has grown too. For this is his third year.
I'm not sure, and I hope I'm not wrong here, but I'm gonna take a chance. Is this your brother or?
Yeah, that's my brother.
I seen the comment, and I was like, "What the hell?" And then I seen the name, I was like, "Oh, I see what's going on here."
Yeah, that's he's my middle brother. He's playing he plays like outside linebacker, defensive end at Idaho State right now.
So he's way slower than you. Got it.
I am the fastest. My youngest brother is running track at the same school right now.
Nice.
But we're all fast. All of us can move. So it's just in our genetics.
Tanner might be faster. This guy might put him in a headlock.
Nah, I mean, he's bigger than me. I mean, him and I have probably gotten to the most fist fights out of all three of us. But I was usually a lot bigger than him when that happened, and he just was more fiery, more emotionally intensive than I was. But now he's bigger than me, so it'd be interesting to see. He's every time I'm talking about football, he's like, "Yeah, but you'd never be able to block me." He's very convinced that I could not take him on the edge, and so hopefully one day we'll be able to get to retest that now that I'm playing tight end.
Well, you heard it, Zach. If you ever want a shot at the title, we'll line up that pay-per-view. See what you got for Big Bro.
Honestly, next offseason, I might just have to go up to him and line something up just on the edge and see what happens.
He just said, "Bro is carried by the cut block. Don't let him deceive you."
I mean, he's not entirely wrong. We do, utilize that, but don't get it twisted. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
It's cool seeing all these guys coming into the chat, and you got a good support system around. You got great friends. You got a great family here. This is pretty cool. It's they're all coming in and chiming in.
That's the first time we've seen something like that. That's cool, man.
Yeah, I've tried to stay true to myself, and like all my friends that I've had since high school, like we always joke about how I was an athlete, but I made it to the NFL, and I haven't changed. Like I still play video games with them and stuff like that. Like I'm pretty easygoing guy. So having a good core support guys really helps me in the tough times in the league, especially when the pressures of the job gets to you.
Appreciate you, Zach.
Zach, kind of hopefully we get you on here one day.
Hopefully, man.
We're lining,
now we got to get him on. He's got to state his case.
We're lining kids up. We're out here recruiting. I'm gonna have them on the phone after the show. I'm gonna offer them a scholarship. We're gonna have them on here. Episode 3, 2027. Zach Connor. Don't miss it. It's gonna be hell.
I think you should speak like that moving forward, brother.
Yeah, that's Coach O. That's my Coach O. I live in Louisiana. Every time I talk football, I turn into Coach O. I don't know why. It's not on person. I guess because he's the perfect football personality, honestly.
And dude, I gotta ask, and I try to ask almost every guy that we have on, because one guy is gonna have a fun routine. One of you guys has to have a fun pregame routine. Like, what's your ritual? Like, do you have anything you do?
I don't have anything crazy, but I'm very involved in getting a pregame lift in. Like I do what like is called like a CNS activation, central nervous system activation. I'm super into like biometrics and performance of that. So in college, I do it here. I usually go in, I do 3 sets of 3 on power clean, bench and squat, and I do moderate weight and I move it as fast as I can. And that really helps me like wake my body up. And after that, I really don't do anything. I don't look at plays or anything like that. Like I try to make sure all the work is done before that. Some guys look at plays before games. I feel like that just messes me up and makes me think about things too much. And so my preparation throughout the week is to make it so I don't do nothing on game day. I go out there and I do nothing. Like I was the same way in track and field. Like I would literally go out there and starting blocks and guys would jump. You know, you've probably seen the Olympic stuff. Like guys will jump up, they'll do stretch and stuff. I would literally stand there, get in my blocks, and I would go. And I think it was kind of like an intimidation factor because I had zero routine. I just like to make it so there's nothing going on game day.
Yeah, that's unique. Yeah, we haven't heard that one. We heard Tyreek's. It was 2 6-piece McNugget or 2 6-piece nuggets from Wendy's, son of Baconator, and a fruit punch.
Yeah, you guys think he's joking too? He showed up with
no, we don't.
Oh,
we know he's.
Go ahead, tell a story. Tell a story.
Yeah, he showed. I remember. Well, the thing about Tyreek is the thing that interests me the most is that I've never actually seen him warm up. I only see him get into a hot tub and then go out and play. It's actually insane. That dude is literally a mutant. Yeah, he doesn't warm up. He hops in. He's like every time we have a weight trip, he asks Kyle, like, is there gonna be a hot tub there? He's like, oh, we'll make one for you, I guess. Like, we'll figure out a way. And he gets in the hot tub and he goes out there and he plays. Like, I've never seen him warm up before. It's crazy. I don't see him lift either. Like sometimes he'll be in the weight room lifting and he's just unbelievably jacked. I'm like, do you do it in your own time or are you just built like that? Like we'll be in the weight room and he'll be in the hot tub just chilling, like doing whatever. It's
dude's a freak, man.
I've never seen anybody that gifted athletically in my entire life.
Yeah, he is built, and it seems like he gets bigger every year. So yeah, that is insane.
Yeah.
So
he still moves. So
can't have you here during training camp and not ask you this. What is a day in the life of training camp look like for you? Like what are y'all doing right now? How does the day go?
Yeah, so we're on a 3-day block right now. So we go 3 days and we have a player off day. This week will be a little bit different. I think we'll be 4 because it's a game week. We'll be 4 days in a row, and then obviously have the game on Friday. But training camp for us is 3 days on and then 1 day off. For me, I get up around 6:45, get in the facility. I don't do the early lift. I do the lift after practice. I get in there, I grab breakfast, I watch film, look at maybe a script if we got one for the practice ahead, and then we have meetings and we go out there and practice. After that, there's another lift option. I'll take the second lift option because there's the morning, the right after practice, and there's a 7 p.m. and I ain't lifting at 7. I just ain't gonna do it to myself. So I do that, get some cardio in, and then after that, we have more meetings, walk through, and then we're out. So usually it's about 7 to 7 every day for me. So
It's a long day.
Yeah, it's a long day.
Yeah.
It is a long day, but I really don't feel like it's that bad. I mean, like, I feel like there's probably worse places.
Yeah, it was 7 to 7 in Miami at that training facility, being a pro athlete, and 7 to 7 at McDonald's. 2 different worlds.
It's a little different. I mean, we get fed. The facility is phenomenal.
And the food's way better, I would assume.
The food is phenomenal. I bring it home every
number
single
one
day.
facility in the NFL. So
yeah, I mean, when like guys like in the off season will go train other places, I just stay and I train in the facility. Like it's got everything I need. So it's pretty sick.
We had this question brought up about 3 times in the chat already, and it's from Finzai in Brooklyn. It's about Jalen Wright. He's having a great camp and he's picking up the offense very well. Achan mentioned Wright's way ahead of him where he was as a rookie. So have you got a look at Jalen Wright and what he's doing, coming in the season as a rookie?
Yeah. Another guy who's incredibly quiet. That dude does not talk to nobody. I think he's just a very like reserved individual. He's not standoffish by any means. He's just a very reserved individual. Is kind of who he is. And he gives me a lot of Raheem Mostert vibes. He's got like these long legs that he can like move and balance himself really well. And his stride is kind of deceiving, just like Raheem. And all of a sudden he's past the edge of the defense. But he's also not afraid to lower his shoulder. Like that guy will go on 3rd down and lower his shoulder into people. And so I've been super impressed with him, especially with how far along he's come so far, because getting into this offense, like the track of the running back is everything. Like you're off by just a foot and it messes up the entire play. And so seeing him get some burn in camp and how much they've utilized him, I'm pretty excited to see how he does this season. He looks really good.
A lot of dogs on this team, dude. Like the way that this team is built this year, it seems like there were some pieces missing. You know, from when Mike got here, it's like there was a piece here missing, there's a piece here missing. But I mean, through the draft and who they picked up in free agency and all that, it just seems like you guys are like here, man. Like you're here. You know,
and dude, just from like a fan's perspective, like you guys play, it's different. Like for us, we see these coaches come in and out of the organizations, and it's just Mike is just different, bro. It's like cool. It's cool as a fan to be like, even in our age group, like, because we understand the game, but now we're old enough to really appreciate it. And like this team that you guys have put together is just like, it's just crazy to me. I don't know. The sky's the limit. Just we got to stay healthy and head down, and that's it, bro.
Yeah, I would co-sign that. Of all the 3 years I've been here, this has been the most competitive environment out of the last 3 years. I mean, everybody is good on the depth chart. Like whether you're a 1 or a 4, like everybody's a good football player. And so to co-sign with Mike, he wants it more than anybody else. Truly, he really wants it. Like it emotionally wrecks him when we don't succeed. So
he takes so much responsibility for it, you know?
Yeah, he does. He puts everything on himself. It's very, very cool to see that from a head coach.
And it's not just coach speak. It's you can like see like Mike is like, this is my fault. Like if something goes wrong, or if you guys don't win the game, you know, there's a lot of coaches that may use that coach speak. Like I'll take responsibility, you know, take it off the players, but this guy really feels it.
Yeah.
A little Tanner Connor action right here.
No block, no rock, baby.
This is all I did. I think last preseason game I played a lot of fullback.
Were they just trying to get a different look to try to see like how to fit you in, or what was the case here?
My coach wants me to be able to do everything, whether it's splitting out as a receiver, backing up Alec if he's ever injured, or playing true inline tight end. So I'm just kind of learning to take reps as we go.
Well, y'all will bring some people in motion downhill and just that's unfair. It's unfair, honestly. It's
such an advantage, man.
How confusing, or like the outside zone, inside zone, how confusing is it? And how much is it that you got to remember? Like, how is it very confusing or what?
No, I mean, our coach Embo is really good about he gives us rules for every single like bucket of runs we have, and we just follow those rules. Whether like it's backside, we're C-gap track every single time, C-gap track, and you'll figure out the ID after that. Or front side, we're just Sam on the ball, take the Sam off the ball, we're tripling, just easy stuff like that. And so, I think that's why Embo's been so successful at taking, you know, receivers or really like true flex tight ends and making them inline, because he makes the run game a lot more simple to understand. And then once you get going, he expects you to understand a little bit more, and you get to a level like Durham where he understands everything that's happening all at once. You can be pretty effective in the run game.
Durham's got that Notre Dame brain, you know, that education.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but that dude, he just understands the ball, man. Like it's really frustrating to see somebody who just understands it so well, and like you're trying so hard to do the same and you just can't. He goes out there and just on the fly, like understands where that box is ID'd at, where he's supposed to go, where the O-line's supposed to go. It's pretty cool to watch.
We've shouted out Durham so many times on this podcast, and especially having like, you know, the tight guys from the tight end room in here. It's just like every time that guy touches the football, there's something that's good happening, and he's doing all the dirty work too for this offense. This offense is reliant on sealing that edge and, you know, inside zone, outside zone, and you know, we see what he's doing, and it may not show up on the stat sheet, but you know, we always see what he's doing, and we appreciate him and everything he's doing for this team.
Yeah, I mean, they talk about the F being like the adjuster, but Durham is really out there like adjusting, telling guys where we're going. He's telling the receivers what routes they have. I mean, he knows everything. And so having a guy like that is invaluable on a team like this. And so just like you say, does the dirty work. But I mean, last year he had a really good year, even in the pass game, caught a lot of balls, did really well for us, and was very reliable, even on third down. So. Yeah,
I think Durham was like our third down machine. It's like every time you forgot about him, 15 yards up the seam, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. So, guys would just cut him loose. I mean, they expect him to be in the run fit or pass pro, and then all of a sudden he's out in space and Julia can find him.
Yeah, like how many times has he caught a pass in the flat on like 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12, and it's a first down? Like all the time. Every time he touches the ball, something good happens. It's crazy.
Yeah. And he knows how to find space.
I think people take him for granted because he just does his job. That's, you know, people like think we could go without him, but the thing is, he's like, you're not talking about him. He's doing his job. So I feel like he does so much, and then he shows up and he don't make mistakes. Like he's short-handed. He's always blocking. He's always got his nose in there. So like, I feel like, he just goes underappreciated a lot.
Yeah. No, everybody on their team respects him. I mean, he doesn't talk a whole lot, and he does his job. And just like you guys said, like he is who he on the field, who he is off the field too. So a lot of guys respect him on the team.
You were talking about Jalen Ramsey before, and like you said, it doesn't matter if you're an undrafted free agent coming on the team or you're one of the stars in the league, and he's bringing that physicality, every single day, and that intensity. And there were, especially the way things ended last year and the year before that for Miami, described as that finesse team. And we talked about Cam Wolf even as you're wonderful, amazing, this hard-nosed football team, September through December, and then January rolls around and people give you that finesse title, whether you care about it or not. What's it, what do you guys hear that stuff? Like, do you even care? Or like, it just seems like every single time that you that's brought up to you guys, you're focusing on physicality this year. Again, coming into the 2024 season, things feel different. Things feel different. We hearing a lot of different things at training camp, all these competitive battles, people being physical. Is that something that even crosses your mind at all or not?
Yeah, I think the last 2 years we've really tried just brushing it off. We're like, yeah, people are going to call us this. We're going to show them we're not. And we are a very physical team, whether people want to believe it or not. Like, people just see the speed and they just assume that we're finesse, and they'll watch the physical plays and just dismiss it. But I think guys have probably had enough of hearing that. And so that's why there's an emphasis this year. And the defense is taking it seriously. The offense, I mean, you see at practice, we're in training camp and we're like really like hidden, like we're thudding people up. And so I think this year is probably the year that we really go out and just try to end that narrative altogether. Because in the past, like, we just brushed it off, but I think this is the year where we'll finally get rid of it.
Yeah, everyone that's come on talked about like how physical the training camp is this year, and how physical and the focus is. It's different. It's everything is different, and Jalen giving his speech about it and everything like that. It's different.
Yeah, no, Jalen did a good job addressing the team about it, and it definitely worked because every single padded practice we've had has been super physical, and there's no like, I mean, you get like chippiness, but like guys respect it. Like, guys hit each other, and then after the play, it's like, good job, way to fit that up, or good hit, you get a nice hit on that. Like, guys respect the game now, and so it's not really like an ego thing anymore. It's really just us doing our jobs and making sure that we can do it to other opponents when we get there.
And I think from like an offensive standpoint, I feel like year 3, you're going to be a little bit more explosive as far as physicality goes, because the guys aren't thinking so much anymore. They're just playing now.
Yeah, 100%. Just like everybody from McDaniel, from the coaches to the players, like the longer you're in this system, like you see with the 49ers, the longer you're in this kind of offensive system, the easier it gets. And the more fluidity you'll start to see both in the run and pass game.
So we've been hearing the Twitter vibe seems to be, hey, it's the Twitter vibes.
Twitter streets, baby. Twitter streets.
It's the trenches, as Blake Ferguson would call it, the trenches of Dolphins Twitter. Seems to think the defense is winning right now. What do you think?
I think from a strictly performance standpoint, the defense would be winning, but the offense is very on track of perfecting our craft. Whether it's meant to beat the defense or not, our coaches made a big emphasis of, I don't care if you guys win the drill, I want you guys to work on your technique. And so there's a lot of things we're doing that isn't great into this defense. And so we're just trying to work the hard looks and understand how we can get better from it. And then once we actually game plan for an opponent, like, it'll be a lot easier. So I would say from outside in, it probably looks like the defense is winning. You're not seeing those long shots anymore. You're not seeing the deep balls that we always see. Like, you'll get a few here and there, but our defense is based at 2-shell, and they're good at taking it away. And so going against it has really helped us become a better offense.
Another thing we keep hearing is that Tua seems like a different person this year. It seems like he's truly took a different step in being the franchise, not only just getting paid, but like stepping into that role. He's really took it up another level. Have you seen anything like that?
Yeah, I would say his leadership has definitely stepped up this year. He's definitely more outspoken. He's not afraid to, step on guys' toes or hurt feelings anymore. I think he's truly taking it seriously this year, or maybe in the past, so not as much. But this year, he definitely has an intensity about him that I can't say I've seen before that. So it's really cool to see.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm really glad you brought that up, because a lot of fans, everyone wants to be critical and everything like that, but they don't realize that the offseason is about getting better. That's all that it is about. It's not about winning. It's not about winning a rep. It's not about who's having the better play. You don't realize, like, this is the time to make every single mistake you can possibly make right now. Like, that's what this time is for. Make yourself better. And it's probably frustrating sometimes if you do say any of that stuff, like, oh, the defense is winning every single day, but you don't realize, like, no, we're working on our craft. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah, like when we do one-on-ones with the safeties, like, we know the safeties are going to play right at 10 yards. And so our coach is giving us 10-yard routes that we're breaking at and just making it hard. So, like, He's like, I don't care if you guys win the rep, make it the best route you can make it against this kind of look. And if you win, you win. If you don't, you don't. Like, just work on what we're supposed to be working on and let the results play later out. So that's definitely the emphasis along the entire offense. So that's probably why it looks like the defense isn't playing bad by any means. I'm not dismissing the defense. They look really good, but we're very, very set on working on our craft and what we're trying to do that builds slowly throughout the season.
I mean, not to mention it's early in camp. Defense always wins early.
Yeah, it is very early. We've had, I don't know, 6-7 practices.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I love the rivalry. I mean, it's the iron sharpens iron mentality. I love that shit.
Yeah, I love it too.
Jacked up. Like,
I love when like we have the whole starting defense out there and they're they're playing, they're not taking reps off, they're not like easing up, like they're working on their craft as well. So because it makes it so when you make an actual play, you know it's a real play. It's not fake football. So it's super important when that happens.
Oh yeah, it's definitely what you want to see. You don't want to get out there Friday and be like, "What the hell?" People want to hit us.
Yeah,
like you definitely want them to bring it, man. You're trying to work on y'all are professionals. You're trying to work on your craft. You're trying to get better. You need him to bring it in front of you so you can work on what you got to work on. So you definitely want to see that.
Yeah, and when that's what you've seen so far.
Are you looking forward to hitting somebody in the joint practices? Like, is it
I am. I am. I feel like I know like how a lot of our defense plays. Like we know how everybody has their intricacies and how they play. And so being able to try what we've been working on against somebody else, I'm curious to see how it works. So I'm excited.
Well, now you're a big hockey guy, right? So I need you to really set the fucking tone this week. I need you to throw the gloves off and fucking lay somebody out for the boys and get everybody
Trust me,
ready.
it's non-negotiable with our coach. Embo is non-negotiable. We are hitting people and you are going full speed and you're running straight through their face. So and guys who've taken that to heart are like guys like Julian Hill. Like Julian Hill goes out there and he's trying to murder people. Yeah, and he's super like off the field, he's super like soft spoken, which is hilarious. He's like very like I don't know the word. He's plucked from like the early 2000s with like long and one shorts, a sideways hat, like cut off sweats. Like he's very like R&B. Yeah,
dude. I know exactly what you're talking about. That's the funny part. I know exactly.
He's got the and He's got the and one shorts on.
Yeah, he's a very interesting cat. But on the field, that dude's intense. Like he's just like Alec. Before practice, he's taking like smelling salts and stuff. Like he's getting ready to go hit somebody. So he's intense.
You keep bringing up John Embre. He's got not many people even have as impressive as a resume as he has. What is it like playing for him?
I would say it's a lot of fun because he expects so much out of us. My rookie year was pretty rough because like I was the only rookie and he would lay into me every single time in a mistake. And he was, well, I didn't realize at the time he was callousing me. So over time, like I gained respect for him and he gained respect for me. And so he tries to see how far he can take like individual players, and that's how he's going to coach them from here on out. But he's made the game super easy for me to understand. Like switching positions is hard, let alone doing it in the NFL your first year. So he's been phenomenal in helping me and really puts a lot of confidence in each and every one of us.
I think what's pretty awesome about this podcast is we literally just had 2 and 1 references in one podcast. That's absolutely electric.
You're welcome.
That is absolutely electric. We had 2 and 1 references.
Mark it off the bingo sheet.
Hey, shout out to Blizzy in the chat talking about the G Unit beaters back in the day.
Oh yeah, with the edges.
Oh, the tapered edges, bro.
Yeah. Well, Tanner, we appreciate all your time here. I kind of want to just ask you one more thing, and it's about overall as the team, and we'll get you out of here. I know you said you give us around an hour, and we're at an hour and 18. That time flew by. But expectations for the team this year and where you guys want to be at.
I mean, the only expectation for us is the cup. So we're going all the way, and anything less will be disappointed. So that's everybody's set on that, and that's how we're practicing right now, and that's how we're going to stay the whole season. God, hopefully we just stay healthy. That's the only thing in our way.
This is the first season in a long time that every player is saying that, like, we're getting over that playoff hump. We are going deep in the playoffs. We're getting that Super Bowl. Like,
no one's talking about just getting the first playoff win. It's beyond that. Like we're looking way past that. So we're not messing around this year.
I love that. Well,
we wish you a happy and healthy season, Tanner. We can't thank you enough for taking time out of your life right now, especially given the circumstances in the middle of training camp. That's unthought of. So it says a lot to us, that you're willing to take time to come talk to a couple guys, share some time with fans. The chat's been going, I don't know if you've been looking, but the chat's been going nuts the whole time, man. So
that's awesome.
Thanks for sharing your Sunday with us and, giving us the insight on what it's like right now at training camp and answering some of these questions.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. It's been truly an honor and a blessing to be here. So happy you guys had me on.
And Tanner, if
Okay.
don't be afraid to slide Ethan Bonner that Post-it note.
I got you. I'm asking Ethan. I'm gonna try to get Julian on here. I can't promise Durham. Durham does not do stuff like this, but I can probably get Julian.
Even
or
better.
We'd like to have both of those guys. That would complete the tight end room, right? I think we'd have the entire besides Durham.
Yeah. So
We need we need you to turn into Butch Berry and start putting post-it notes everywhere.
Butch Berry he's a post-it note god.
You still doing it?
I think so.
Hey, it's working. I don't care. Post-it note.
Yeah, he's a great coach.
All right, Tanner. We appreciate having you on. We appreciate the love and we wish you the happiest season and healthiest season moving forward.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys.
Later,
All right.
brother.
Thanks, everybody.